merry means. What I'm going to talk about now is how to do a ritual circle. Now this is a basic ritual circle which I have been in a few times. There is no absolute single way to do this. Depending upon the coven that you are in or what tradition you're following, there are different steps in creating, or also called casting, a circle. So please do some research on what works for you or what your coven or tradition follows. Now, the first thing we have to do is prepare ourselves and the area that we are in. To prepare ourselves, we should obviously, first thing first is cleanse ourselves, so take a good hot shower. Number 2 is to do grounding and centering exercises. I have already done a video on how to ground and center. This is to prepare yourself mentally and your energies balanced before you enter the circle. Now we have to do is prepare the area. So you have a room that you want to perform a ritual in. Okay, well, first things we have to do is cleanse it. Now, take a broom and sweep out all the dirt. It is in some groups' eyes that you have a specific broom or besom to do this job. Not just a standard broom of the house. You have one broom that is for ritual cleaning. Okay. The next step is smudging the room. Now, smudging is taking a sage stick and burning it, filling the room full of the wonderful smell of burnt sage. And this is to drive out any negativity. But I must add this part. Some people just light a smudge stick and think that's good enough. It's not. While smudging will drive out the negativity, unless you replace it with positive energy, then the negativity can come right back in. So, as you smudge and you're asking for the negative energies of the area to leave, also welcome in positive energy. And once that is done, you have created a sacred space, a safe space to perform a ritual. Preparation. This is important. Get everything that you need. What you are going to need depends upon your tradition, what your coven wants. But you should have representations of the 4 elements. That means a representation of earth, air, fire, and water. Now for me, for earth, I have a granite rock that I love. And so that is my representation of earth. For air, I have feathers from a hawk that I love. For fire, I have a specific lantern that I burn, but you can also use just your standard tea lights, but I think you should have like a special big candle for representing fire. And then for water, you can have like seashells, or you can have a bowl with water in it, and those would be your representations of the elements. You need to have your wand and your atme with you as well. Now, this is very important. You need to know the purposes of these 2 tools. Your wand is positive. It is for creation. And so when you are casting your circle, you have your wand in your hand as you're walking around it, with your wand pointing towards the ground to where the boundary of your circle is. And so when you are going around Dociel, which means clockwise, you would have your wand in your left hand pointed towards the ground and creating your circle. Your atame is a cutting tool. Although it shall never cut anything in the physical world, it is meant for cutting and defending the astral, spiritual world. So let's say you forgot something and you have to go out after you got your circle cast. You have to have both tools in your hand. With your atame, you go and you point it towards the ground where your circle is, and you do a cutting motion from the bottom up, and you quickly as possible go and get whatever you forgot, and you come in back on that side, always the east side. When you walk through your circle, you turn around and you use your wand, and you reverse this. You take the wand and you have it pointing to the top, and you go down the exact same spot for which you cut. You are mending, you are healing your circle. Okay? Try not to leave and cut the circle at all if you can. Okay? We want to keep the circle solid throughout our ritual purposes. You will also need libations. Libations are cakes and ale, wine and fruit, something to offer all that you summon into your ritual. Okay? You will need 2 taper candles. Some people will say that one should be silver and one should be gold. This is to represent the god and the goddess. And it also depends upon your tradition. Now you take all of these belongings, all this equipment, and you put this on your altar in the middle of your designated area. Okay, and you would kind of set this up just like you would your normal altar. You can have a few extra decorations on there if you so wish it. But remember, this is a purpose-built altar for the ritual. Do not have things that are going to get in your way. So if you have your wine, you need your chalice. Remember that. Now, when you go and you enter your circle, most traditions say that you come in from the east or the north. I have seen very few saying that you can enter at any other point. Again, depending on your tradition. So you would enter in from your east, you would turn left to face south, and you would walk around in your circle. Now, some people like to lay salt down to make a physical barrier where their circle is. Now, one thing that I have discovered, and it works very well, is if you take the craft sand, the colored sand that you can buy at Dollar General. If you can take some of that, and for every cup of sand, you would add a half cup of salt, mix it together. And then you can put this into like a dry, empty plastic bottle, pop bottle. So when you're going around your circle, you can pour a little bit out slowly around to form your circle. There you will have a representation of where the circle is. You can have the proper color depending on what the purpose of the ritual is. So like if you're doing a prosperity ritual, you'd want to use like a greenish sand. Okay, the salt also works as a barrier because a lot of traditions state that you put salt around the doors to keep spiritual entities from crossing the door. Now, so you're going around docile. So you enter from the east, you go first south, west, north, and east. Some traditions say that you go around just once, while many traditions say you will go around 3 times. I prefer to go around 3 times. Being of a Celtic origin, 3 is considered an important number. So you're going around 3 times, and you will end up back on the east side when you get done with your going around circles, creating your circle. You will then go to your altar, and there you will prepare your everything. You will light your candles, you will pour the wine, you set out some crackers for libations, and you will get it all set up and looking beautiful. If you want incense, burn some incense. Then you go to the north, and you go and you start calling out the guardians of the towers, the elementals. There are many different names for it, just depending again upon your tradition. Like I said, almost every tradition that I've seen starts in the north. But you'd go from your north and also go Dociel. So you'll go to the north for earth, east for air, south for fire, west for water. Once you get done calling out your elements, you would then return to your altar and you would commence with your ritual. I do want to add this though. When you're calling out the elements, the guardians of the watchtowers, don't just stand there like a stick and read a piece of paper. This is about pulling energy, entertaining, getting the energy out. If you just stand there, you're not using energy. So do something, move those hands, maybe bow, because you're trying to show respect to the elements, the guardians of the watchtowers. Okay? And when you go to your altar, you're going to be, most people will be summoning a particular god, goddess, or 2 gods, depending on your tradition. Like again, use hand gestures, welcome them in. Don't stand there rigid, okay? So you go out and you perform your ritual as according to what your tradition states. The next step is to then thank the elements or the guardians of the watchtowers, however, like I said, whatever your tradition calls them. And here you would start with the west, because it is the last one you called when you summoned them. It's the first one you thank. Okay? So you go from the west to the south to the east to the north, thanking them. When you get done thanking them, you will go and you will go to your altar and you will blow out the candles and such. You're basically doing the opposite. And then you will walk to the east side of your circle. You are ready to open the circle. And you will go widdershins, which is counterclockwise. And you will go around the exact number of times you went to create the circle. You will go around to end the circle. And when you are done, you will end up on the east side. When you are at the east side, you will, at the end of your, how many times you have to go around, you will take your atme. You will reach down at the bottom and you will do a cutting motion upwards. As just like before, if you had to get something, you are opening the circle. And you will then go and say, some people have something nice to say. For the circle is opened at this time, but we will never part. And so you would have your circle opened up, then you would take a few more steps out, and it is done. Casting a circle and performing a ritual is relatively easy, but great work, great preparation has to be done ahead of time. I hope this has been inspirational for some of you, so take care, be at peace.